It's a bit like going home, the Remarkable, and I've been using it again recently because it is an excellent, simple notepad. And well, I'm going to take you right back to the time when I first bought the Remarkable 2, which replaced my Remarkable 1. So we're going to start there. This is a really long video, and so there's lots in there about my own use case with the Remarkable 2. So sit back and relax, and consider just streaming this up onto your 4K TV. It should look really great. I spend a lot of time making these videos look and sound as good as I possibly can. Get yourself a drink, get yourself a snack, and enjoy. Let's jump straight in.
Remarkable 1 versus Remarkable 2. Is it worth the upgrade if you already have a Remarkable 1? If you're at all interested in sketching or you communicate visually, these are the e-ink tablets to go for sure. And I got the Remarkable 2 because I just had to try it out to let you know whether I think it's worth the upgrade if you've already got a Remarkable 1. For sure, my thoughts are that they are different, but you know, they're the same too. The writing feel, although it's a little thing, is still important too. That's how these things are marketed. They're like paper, but they're better. I can tell you that the Remarkable 1 is a plastic screen, whereas the Remarkable 2 is a glass screen. It's the difference between e-ink Mobius, which is the flexible plastic screen, and e-ink Carta, which is this stiffer glass screen. And you can feel that it makes a small difference. But the real feel is from the actual texture of the screen and the cardboard nibs. One thing that tells you that they're not all that different is that they both run the exact same software. So there can't be that much of a different device if they can actually manage the exact same software. And the software is fine, but it is limited compared to your other e-ink options. And now they have that subscription service, but if you're upgrading from Remarkable 1, then you don't have to worry about that. Another thing that's always talked about is pen latency. Well, I can tell you that they are so similar that you don't really notice the latency of either. I've never once been disappointed with the way the pen feels and the way it is to write on the Remarkable 1, and I honestly feel that's overstressed in buying advice for e-ink tablets. Latency is not the most important thing. If it's bad, then yes, you will notice it going from one to the other, but the 0.02 seconds of pen latency is not going to be much of a difference in your ordinary usage. You're likely to look at the Remarkable 2 and think, oh yeah, it's got an updated processor, but the updated processor doesn't make it much faster or snappy. What it actually makes it is more efficient, so it makes the battery last longer. And honestly, that's one of the biggest reasons to upgrade is that battery life. With Remarkable 1, I was getting about 3 days with the battery. With Remarkable 2, I do get about 1.5 weeks, so I charge it at the weekend. You can say goodbye to physical buttons if you buy a Remarkable 2, and you'll have to learn all those gestures, although they're simple and intuitive. Remarkable markets their tablet as the world's thinnest tablet. Day-to-day use, that doesn't matter a jot. So let's face it, a big part of the tech market today is desirability, and Remarkable 2 is a much sleeker, more desirable device than the Remarkable 1. But it's different. It's only the back of the Remarkable 1 which is aluminium, whereas most of the Remarkable is aluminium or glass, so it actually feels cold to the touch. Not that you're going to notice that in everyday use, because you're probably going to put it in a folio of some sort. Another big difference is the pen pressure levels. There are twice as many pressure levels on the Remarkable 2, but actually 1000 pressure levels are enough for any artist. That's not to say that there isn't a reason for having more pressure levels, and if you're a serious artist, then maybe that's a consideration for you. But for both of them, the pen tools, all the different options of brushes, pencils that you get are excellent. They're excellent for drawing. I think that it's the only e-ink tablet that actually makes use of the tilt function on the Wacom EMR technology. But it's that makes drawing with the Remarkable so intuitive and picking it up just as familiar as picking up a pencil and paper. But importantly, it gives you access to layers, it gives you access to an undo button, and actually allows you to export all of the SVG vector detail. And at the end of the day, if you're going to buy one of these two tablets, it might sound silly, but one of the biggest recommendations for this tablet is that pencil and paper feel. If you like sketching on premium paper, you will feel right at home with either of these two devices. I hope that's helped you with your choice if you're looking to upgrade or not. Let me know in the comments below. Or of course, if you've got any questions, This is the next video for you if you're still umming about that, or if you're considering a different e-ink tablet device. Here's a video where I compare the Remarkable with the Supernote and the Books Note Air 2.
And this is the thing, you're probably a little bit like I was when I first bought an e-ink tablet, and you're wondering, is it really worth the price? The Remarkable is considered to be one of the more expensive of the e-ink tablets. And it is if you go ahead and buy all the premium accessories that come with it. But what I did first off is I bought the tablet for just the £300, which is not an expensive e-ink tablet. And I used third-party accessories, and I was really happy with the experience. I used an IO2 case just from Amazon, and I used a Lamy EMR pen. And that meant that the whole package came out just shy of £400, which is a good deal for an e-ink tablet. However, what I would say is consider if it's the right thing for you, because it does have very limited use cases. It's a great replacement for a notepad, but not all that much else. So in this video, I'm going to show you what it's like to actually get it out of the box, and that first experience with the Remarkable 2, when you're considering things like, what's that screen feel going to be like? So much is made with the screen feel. Is it really worth it as a feature? Is it really as important as people make out? And how is it for the things that I want to do on it? Is it great for drawing and note-taking, like I've heard it is? When you first get it out, you've got that excitement, but you're also worried, are you actually going to continue using it? Or is it going to be a bit of a gimmick that gets forgotten and just gathers dust on your shelf while you go back to using your ordinary paper notebooks? I certainly haven't found that, but let's dive straight in. So I actually went ahead and bought a Remarkable 2. Why did I buy it now? Just a year after I bought a Remarkable 1? Well, there's a number of reasons. I bought this Remarkable 1 just a year ago for £300. It was a little bit before they were releasing the Remarkable 2. I thought at the time that was the bargain to have. It was £300 including the marker and including the little sleeve, whereas I bought this Remarkable 2 just on its own. And I think if you do that, actually, it's a great bargain. I bought it on its own because, well, I didn't need a marker. I've already got Remarkable 1 marker, that works just fine. And I think the best way to use a Remarkable is with the Lamy and some Remarkable nibs. So I think the Lamy EMR marker is actually the best marker to use on the Remarkable platform. What do I think about it so far? Yeah, I really like it. I haven't done much with it yet, but I think you can see from picking it up straight away that actually it's a really intuitive device to use. And this was what I was able to make on the very first quick sheet that I opened. One reason that it's become so cheap is that now they are doing it with a subscription plan, and there's been a lot said about that subscription plan, whether it's a good idea or a bad idea. I'm not really against it, I'm not really for it either. The thing is that actually, for most of what I do, I could do without any of the features offered by the subscription plan. It will still sync up to the cloud, it's just that you won't be able to sync your documents for longer than 50 days. Most of what you're doing with this, you won't need that feature. And if you did need to keep a document for longer than 50 days, you could always just download it and keep it anyway. The document will still be there on your Remarkable, you just won't have access to it on the cloud. And similarly, the handwrite to text function, which is one of the functions that they're leading on, I very rarely use that in any case. It's just not something that I want to do with the Remarkable. So when you buy a Remarkable now, I think you have to be honest with yourself and think, what do I really want this device to do? And probably you're looking at it because you just want it to replace your notebook. And to be honest, that's all it's good at doing anyway. Really quickly about the accessories, the Lamy marker will cost you about £50, which is the same price as the entry-level marker from Remarkable. And well, I do have a magnetic case, but this one was just 30 quid from Amazon rather than the £100 or so that you'll spend to get the Remarkable folio. I'm sure the Remarkable folio is lovely, but this one is also magnetic. It's as secure as you need. It snaps in magnetically. It's fine. It's a nice leather feel. It's made by IO2, and I'll put an Amazon link in the description if you're interested. So you'll see a lot of people talk about the Remarkable as being £400 or more, and that's because of the accessories that you'd buy with it. If you can get away without them, it's actually a bargain. And if you can do without the subscription service, and well, I'm going to try and use this Remarkable 2 without the subscription service, and I'll let you know if I think that actually it's a must and you do have to stump up that cash to get the best out of the Remarkable. We'll see what comes of their expanding universe of features. I'm saying that 300 quid is a bargain, but if you're willing to spend £300 on a device like this, it's probably because you're wanting it to replace a notebook or a whole lot of paper. And there's loads of benefits to that. For example, the fact that all your notes are in this one device, which is thin and light, and you don't have to scrabble around for which notebook or which scrap of paper you wrote that thing down on. A lot of people who think of these really premium, lovely devices as just replacing their post-it notes and scribbles. It isn't a replacement for an iPad. Check out my comparison with it and the iPad, and I'll put a link here. And actually there are some other devices, and I'll have them coming up soon. For example, the Note Air 2, which maybe that could replace an iPad or an Android tablet. So look elsewhere if you want it to do more than just replace your notebook. The idea is that it's to be better than paper, but the digital features are limited on the Remarkable 2. For example, there's no tables of contents that you can make like you can on the Supernote. And there's no way to search through your notes like you can on the Supernote or on the Onyx books. So if you want extra digital features, stay tuned, because I'm going to go through some other comparisons with different e-ink devices that will allow you to do those things. Remember, there's only a limited reader capability on here. You can only really read PDFs and EPUBs, so you can't use it as a Kindle. Again, there are devices that will let you use the Kindle app, or indeed any other Android reader app that you could want. So with all that said, why would you buy the Remarkable? Well, because it's got a flipping banging premium feel. It's a beautifully designed device. It's thin, it's light, it's aluminium, and the screen feels lovely to write on. What I love about it is actually the tools for drawing. They've really given a lot of thought to the digital tools, and using this pen on paper can actually just feel almost exactly like a pencil, and you get a really nice, pleasing result. You can also export drawings to vectors, and then you can edit them afterwards as well. And I've made some other videos which will show you how I use that. The other thing I love about e-ink devices is the great battery life. You have to charge this once every couple of weeks if you use it every day. All in all, it's just a really slick notebook, but with endless pages. And you can access those pages from a variety of devices from the cloud. You can also sync and link to Dropbox or Google Drive if you use those services. The app will let you share your screen, although you will need the subscription service for that. For me, it's best for drawing, but it's also best for people who communicate their ideas visually. If you're the type of person that draws flowcharts or uses different pens to highlight and draw attention to things, it's a really great device for visual thinkers. And it's great for you to digitally communicate your ideas. The thing about the Remarkable and all these ink devices is you get those digital features without the eye strain of staring at another LCD screen. And that's why I think people do consider them alongside an iPad or as an alternative to an iPad, is because some people just want that iPad to be their digital notebook, their digital record of their ideas, another tool to help them think. And I think if you've got a laptop or a computer, an e-ink tablet is an ideal companion to that. It's just the right amount of digitization for your ideas, that it doesn't feel like pulling out your computer. It wakes up in milliseconds. Its battery life is amazing. It is just like a paper notepad, but better. Yeah, I think it's well worth it. It can't do everything for you, but if you're the type of person that uses a computer, but also still finds himself pulling out paper notebooks, then I promise you'll get along really well with one of these. If you like to use a planner or a diary or anything like that, then this is better. One thing I think about the Remarkable 2 is it's such a premium device, is that there's space in the Remarkable ecosystem for a device which is aimed at students, a less expensive one. Now, I'm hopeful that Remarkable in the coming years, they actually diversify their brand, and I'm hopeful that we get a cheaper version built like the Remarkable 1 out of plastic, and we get a more expensive version, a premium version, maybe with a colour screen. And I'm really hopeful also that we get a full A4 sized one as well. Because still there is no better tablet for drawing on than the Remarkable. Still there is no better tablet for simple focused notes than the Remarkable. There's loads of benefits of all the others, and I've got lots of content for you to check out after watching this video. Lots of content for you to check out where I compare all of those amazing tablets to the Remarkable. There's so much choice out there now in the e-ink tablet world. Let's see some more of those early thoughts about this tablet compared to what I was using, the Remarkable One. Remarkable One or Remarkable 2? Let me say, if you're thinking of buying one new, then your option is now the Remarkable 2. But maybe you've seen an amazing price on a second-hand Remarkable 1 and you want to know whether you're going to lose out massively by going with that, or whether you need to stump up to get the latest technology. Basically, it is just an iterative design. It is crisper, it's thinner, and it's stiffer. It feels more premium, but it is the same. It's more solid. It's just an iteration. And I think that shows why Remarkable stuck with their first device for so many years, because it really was good. So I wanted this to remove a lot of paper from my life, and it did exactly what I wanted it to do. Although, I'll be honest, it hasn't got rid of as much paper as I really would have liked to. What it's all about is being able to read and digest things and be able to keep your notes in a system which is no bigger or heavier than a very thin notebook. It's something you can essentially use like a bullet journal. And now with the PDF hyperlink settings, it can become a really powerful planner, and I love it. So I actually bought the Remarkable One when there was a lot of chat about pre-orders, when people were waiting for the Remarkable 2. So I decided it was cheaper. I decided to go with the Remarkable One, and I wasn't disappointed. And there was a whole furore about shipping delays and things like this, and loads of people were waiting for their Remarkables, but those issues are gone now, and you can feel confident you're going to order one of these and it'll come within a few days. At least mine did. But the reason why I'm making this video is a bit of a plea to Remarkable, because this device, this Remarkable One, is perfectly good. And what I'd love to see is this plastic design actually being produced alongside the aluminium design of the Remarkable 2. And I'd love it if they could make this a Remarkable student version. I'd love to see this get down to a price where people could actually afford it without as much of a thought as buying the Remarkable 2. So more on what I think could be the future for Remarkable in a coming video, but hopefully you like that as well, because I think an entry-level student-focused device, something to get people into these e-ink tablets, could really take the market by storm. But for now, if you're deciding between a second-hand Remarkable 1 and a brand new Remarkable 2, honestly, unless you're finding sort of a sub £200 deal on this Remarkable One, then just go for the RM2, because this currently is 300 quid without any accessories. And that's a very good price. And if you're buying it for the right reasons, which is just to replace your notepad, because if you want it to do more, you should be looking at a different e-ink device, then you won't need the subscription plan or any of the premium accessories. So subs if you want to see more detail, and a bit more detail on what I think is the future for Remarkable and these e-ink devices coming soon. As I was exploring the world of e-ink tablets and my experience with them grew, I really was considering whether the Remarkable was worth anything at all, whether I would recommend that at all to anybody. And the brand that I started to recommend to most people most often was Books. So in this next section, you'll see me compare the Remarkable to the Books Note Air 2, which is a fabulous device as well, because objectively, it is a poor e-ink tablet. Objectively, you can't do much with it compared to what you can do with all the other options that are out there. But still, I go back to it time and time again, because there is just something subjective about using this e-ink tablet. There is something about the way it looks, the way it feels, the way it writes. There is something about it which is hard to quantify. When they talk about it being the world's thinnest tablet, well, they aren't joking. It is thin and light, and it's made from lovely materials. And so many people who use this tablet, they talk about, well, I'm glad it can't do those other things. The question is whether this whole distraction-free space just for your thoughts, is there some truth to that? Or is that just marketing speak? There's always the dilemma that's going round in my mind when I review the Remarkable. Is it really just digital paper, and that's not worth this kind of price tag? Or is it better than that? Holding it in my hand right now, checking it out, looking back through this footage and all the lovely drawings that I've done on it in the past, all the nice notes, the way it fitted into my workflow as my planner straight away after relying on a paper planner for so many years, it just slipped in as a replacement for that, yeah, there's something about it. And in any case, Remarkable was the original for me, and it was the beginning of an amazing journey with e-ink, and e-ink has changed my life. I'm certain if I had only ever used the Remarkable, I'd still be really enjoying it as a place for reading, as a place for writing, as a place for organising my thoughts. So I think you can buy with confidence if you know that's all you need. And for many people, it still is the number one choice, even once they've tried some of the other great alternatives that are out there.
Is the Remarkable really the worst e-ink tablet? I featured it in so many comparisons now, and objectively it almost always comes out as the worst. But yet, it is such a compelling device. Is it just that they've done a better job of marketing it than other tech companies? Or is actually there something going on which makes it that good? It actually was featured in a World's Thinnest Mr. Who's the Boss video, because they claim that this is the world's thinnest tablet, which I'm not sure of the truth of that really. Because can you really call it a tablet in the same vein as an LCD, Android or iPad? It certainly does the least, and most people are starting to dismiss it as a whole brand or a whole concept because of that subscription model, which is okay if you bought one before they launched it, because you don't ever have to pay that. And I think they're starting to see the kind of mistake they've made, because they have lowered the price of that subscription model across most regions. But so many people complain that you shouldn't have to pay for features which they consider to be just basics. For instance, not even having bookmarks in PDFs, it's not really good enough. And for the privilege of syncing to the cloud that most of the other companies are doing for free, is it really worth that money? For instance, I've got my notes for these videos on Trello, and that syncs across all my devices, and I can get them on the Books Note Air because it runs Android. But is it really the worst? Because if you're buying an e-ink tablet, you're probably thinking that it should just replace your notebook. And when you're using the Remarkable, you don't have the option to use it in a different way. So you aren't considering it as a device that can do loads. You're just considering it as a place you note stuff down, and you're not flicking between different apps. The fact that when you pick up the books, which is a very similarly designed thing really, but has those Android features, you're constantly thinking, well, what other app can I use? How else can I use this? You're constantly shifting backwards and forwards between different apps that work more or less well. So it's kind of like, do you prefer a hedgehog? Something that does one thing and does it well. And it does do that well. Or do you prefer a jack of all trades, but is probably a master of none? It's very difficult to decide between these two tablets. It's almost as difficult as comparing the Remarkable 2 with the iPad, but we always seem to be coming back to doing that comparison as to which one you want in your bag and which one you want to spend all that money on. I read so many comments now that actually say they've tried the Remarkable and they've ended up going with something else. It's hard to ignore, but is it really the worst? Or is actually these subjective design choices they've made, does it actually make it the best? It's really difficult to decide between these tablets, and they're really expensive devices as well. But I think they definitely have a place in your professional life. You tell me, do we get it wrong when we review these e-ink tablets? Is Remarkable 2 really the worst? Leave a comment below to let me know what you think, because I'd love to hear your opinion and carry on the conversation.
So as I say, I'm really interested by this idea that this tablet, although objectively nowhere near as good as the competition, is still so compelling for so many people. And well, let's dive into 7 of those things that make it such an excellent experience.
Here's 7 great things about the Remarkable. The style. Yep, this looks fabulous. And they're really selling a dream. Their marketing is really focused around how you look when you use this, how it looks on your desk. It is a compelling story that they're telling. Number 2 is similar to that, it's how thin it is. They are still marketing this as the world's thinnest tablet. I think it's sub 5mm thin. And that is a really nice thing to use. It is getting towards a really thin notepad. Well, it's thinner than a lot of notepads, to be quite honest. Put it in a case, of course, and it is thicker than that. But you're still using something which feels really elegantly designed and is thin in the hand. It's quite aspirational really how thin it is. For that thinness you do lose certain things. If they had chosen to add something like a front light, then it would have added about 0.8 of a millimeter and it wouldn't have been so thin. So there is a trade-off with how thin it is, but it is a great thing about the Remarkable. It's a few years old now, but it is still amazing how nice a design this is, and it's been copied for good reason. The pen tools. It does have the best array of pen tools in the whole of the e-ink tablet perfect world. I really like the ballpoint pen and I really like the mechanical pencil. Those are the two that I use the most for making notes. However, it also has the pencil tool, which is the best for drawing. There is such a good range here. They added early on in Remarkable 2 times a calligraphy pen for those who prefer that as an option. It's great for making your notes look good, and it's great for drawing as well. So number 4 is the handwriting recognition, which is actually really quite reliable. So if I go export, convert notes to text. I didn't write this purposefully to do that, but let's have a little look. Same great things: the style, how thin it is, the pen tools, the reliable handwriting recognition, the flow, the updates, how good it is, and then a little smiley as well. So actually it managed all of that perfectly well, and it adds it now in as a new page in the same document. I don't think that's quite the best integration of handwriting recognition, I'll be quite honest. The nice thing is that now that handwritten text is available on the web app, it's available on the desktop app or on the phone app as well. So actually they're starting to get a really nice integration between handwritten notes and actual typed text. And you can obviously edit that with the keyboard on your computer, you can edit it on here if they do get anything wrong. Generally it's quite reliable as well. I do think they need to go a little bit further here and allow people to use tables, maybe headings, etc. And I think they could have a sort of word integration or a desktop publisher like integration that you can actually manage on here and manage between that and your main device, so that you're making documents that are ready to be shared more readily. But we are going in the right direction, which brings me on to number 6, which is the updates. I'll get back to that. Number 5 is the flow, and it's probably the best thing about this device is how easy it is to use. If you are not a confident user of tech, if you're somebody who prefers Apple products to Android type things or desktop PCs, then I would strongly suggest that you look at Remarkable and bear this in mind, that Remarkable do a good job of making things easy to use. Before they add features, for instance, when they added tags, they think carefully about making it quite simple, straightforward, flowy, intuitive is a word that's used a lot with Apple products. Easy to use is the way that I would put it. It doesn't have all the features of everything else. It doesn't have, for instance, a full Android Google Play Store. And if you want that, then look elsewhere. But if you're somebody who does want a device to get out of your way and just be like a notebook with a few digital features, then Remarkable is the thing for you. It is possibly the most flowy device of all of the e-ink tablets that I've used. So the flow is a really good thing. They market it in this way. It's a device that gets out of your way so you can use it for thinking, and that is true. So I've talked about the updates earlier, but things do seem to be moving in a considered way. So number 6 is the updates. I think that we must be getting close to a whole new device here, because we're on the Remarkable 3.0 update at the moment. And the updates seem to be going in a way where they're going to integrate it more usefully with the app, more usefully with converting to text and working with ways to store and manage your notes. And I think that Remarkable can be a platform on all devices for storing your knowledge, and that would be a really useful thing. If they can update it in a way that it can be a knowledge management system in its own right between this device and between your desktop PC and your phone, then it's going to be more compelling to more professional people. The last one is how good you look and how good you feel when you use this device. These is a very subjective thing, and they have gone hard on the marketing this device for the kind of style of you and how you look in a meeting. And we're still at this point where people notice you using this device and ask you about it and ask you questions like, oh, is that like a Kindle that you can write on? And we're still at this point where if you notice somebody else who's a user of Remarkable or a user of e-ink tablets, people are like, oh yeah, you were in the know as well. You know how good these devices are. If you care about style, then this is a really stylish device, and it's not going to look out of place in any boardroom in any professional setting. And they're compared to Apple because the way it's marketed is that this is a device which really says something about you as a person. It's a badge, it is an icon, and Remarkable users, you see them meeting each other and they have a chat about how good the benefits are and how useful it is and how we can't imagine going back to ordinary pen and paper now. And there's good reason for that, why people are so enthusiastic about their e-ink devices. It's like we share some knowledge that only like the initiated will actually know. Then I tell them that there's actually far better e-ink devices out there. And if you're considering buying a Remarkable, then I strongly suggest that you check out this playlist here, where I'll take you through a whole load of different alternatives to the Remarkable. You'll find that maybe this is and maybe this isn't the device for you. Great choice if you want to go for an e-ink tablet, but luckily there is now a whole range of different devices in this category, with some really big tech players coming into this category as well. Yeah, the future is interesting. It's maybe not all Remarkable, and Remarkable is now not the only player in the market.
And yeah, I think if any one of those 7 things just stand out and you're like, yeah, that's the thing for me, then buy it, and buy it with confidence. You're gonna have a great time. You're gonna have a great experience on this tablet. So after using it for a long time, and although I mentioned several months in this video, I've been a Remarkable user for longer than that. So this is a very long-term look at my use case with Remarkable 2 and how useful I found it in my professional life. Let's jump on in. This is my Remarkable 2 review. This is after having used it for several months at work and really having the time to gather my thoughts about this device. I'm going to do a shorter video which is just my conclusions, and I've already got videos where I talk about drawing on the device and what I think about it compared to the previous iterations and compared to a whole load of other e-ink devices. So if you're making a choice as to whether the Remarkable 2 is the right device for you, there's loads of content on my channel which will help you make that decision. Thanks a lot for watching. I'm Kit, and I'm really interested in these devices but for professional use. And so I'm going to compare them in all of these categories today. Essentially like the things, the actions that professionals need to be able to do, and how does the Remarkable 2 fit into that? It's got a bad press recently, the Remarkable 2, and a lot of people have discarded it as an option just because of the subscription model. But should you? I personally would argue that you don't really need all of the features that you get with the subscription. But then some people would say it actually lacks some of the most simple digital notebook features. If that was the case, why is it so popular? And it is very popular still. Surely it can't just be all of the targeted advertising on Facebook or Instagram. I'm almost certain if you found this video by searching Remarkable 2 review, that's probably how you heard of the Remarkable. So maybe it is just remarkable, as a lot of people have termed it. I'm not really going to talk through specifications or price or anything more about the subscription model than I've already said. I'm just going to give you my thoughts of using it as a professional against all of these actions that you need to do on a day-to-day basis as a professional. I'm going to give them a score out of 10, and I'm going to add them up at the end just for fun, really. But I'm hoping there'll be something in this review that will help you make the decision whether this is right for you or not. If you decide it's not, then have a look at some of the alternatives with my other videos. Firstly, thinking and decisions. Place for your thoughts is how they build this, and that's a good description of the device. It's simple, but that's a strength. Anyone who thinks with a pen in their hands will immediately feel really at home on this device. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 for thinking and decisions, which is quite a high score really, because if you just see it as your unlimited page notebook, a place that you can jot things down, scribble, come back to thoughts and develop them later, it's a very, very strong device for that. Thinking and deciding is something that you do as an individual. This device as a companion during those decision-making processes can be a really, really useful thing. I'm constantly going back through my notes. I use really big titles to allow me to see on the thumbnail view where all the different parts are. We have a kind of memory. When we write something by hand, we have a memory of writing that and where it was on a certain page, and you can find it really easy just using the page view. The next category is communicating. All professionals need to communicate with their team. What you can do with this is you can share your screen using their app. So you could integrate it into video calls. You could share in a boardroom on the big screen or to other people's laptops. You can create really attractive notes and maybe use them for memos, and that's certainly the angle they're going for in the targeted advertising. You can use handwriting recognition. It's a paid feature, which is good, it's accurate, and you can share that via email. So you can use it as the kind of start point for your communications. But it doesn't have email on it. It does have some integration, so you can upload things to Dropbox, Google Drive, or OneDrive. It's limited really in that respect. I'm going to give it a 6 for communicating. Collaborating, it's a weaker device. It's really much more of an individual place for your thoughts than it is as a tool for collaboration. You can't have shared accounts, and the integrations with Google Drive are not such that changes here are immediately updated onto the Google Drive. They are updated into Remarkable's own cloud, however. Collaborating, it's a free. It's really a space for your own notes and your own thoughts so that then you can contribute to your team. The limited apps and functionality mean that you're not going to use this as a powerhouse for getting through your tasks for your work. So for reading and learning, which is how professionals contribute to their domain, their space of influence, you're limited to PDFs, EPUBs, and web articles that you can read on here. You can annotate everywhere, which is actually excellent. You can make notes, you can can highlight, you can zoom in and zoom out. There's actually quite a lot that you can do in there. So if reading PDFs and EPUBs is all you need for your learning and web articles, then that's all you need. And it does those things really well. However, I would say that most of us will probably need a little bit more than that. Maybe access to e-learning on websites, and it definitely can't do that. If you're somebody that's learning in an academic sense, you probably are going to want a bigger screen. So I'm going to give this one a 3 because there are better options out there if your main purpose is for reading and for professional learning. Planning and organization is how I really got into this whole format of e-ink tablet, and I can tell you that I think it's an excellent tool for planning. However, that's because I simply use it as a planner which I can just make notes on what I'm supposed to be doing during this block in my day. I can talk about what I need to focus on in that meeting or teach in that lesson, and I can just plan things out as I go. That is the power that I wanted. It was very nice for me to be able to make a hyperlink document, which I made on Word and exported as a PDF. And now I can navigate around this fortnightly planner really easily and plan out my weeks. And I think that's a really strong use. You could make a PDF which works for you. This, I think, is the way that most people are using the device. You can make folders in your files, and that can be really useful to keep kind of different aspects of your working life separate, but you can't make a table of contents within a notebook, and that's a flaw. What I use is a nice bold pen for headings within the different sections of the notebook, and then in the page view I can just see them to jump around between the different parts that I'm looking for. It actually works okay because I recognize my handwriting really, really well, and there's no technical challenge to actually making that. There's very little true digital integration. You can't, for instance, have a calendar in here which can actually help you to plan your tasks longer term. So again, it's like a notebook, and for many of you that'll be good enough. So I'm going to give this one 5. And this is really key for professionals because it's being well planned and well organized that allows you to be productive. Innovation and creation is where you use the synergy as a professional, and this can be a very useful tool, especially if you're a thinker or if you're an artistic type of creator. For us, the pen is the most sophisticated thinking tool that's ever been made. Adding some digital tools to that's why these devices are so compelling to creative professionals. And by creative, I don't just mean artistic, I'm talking about professionals who need to come up with ideas. Pen and paper is enough, and it seems odd to spend so much to improve pen and paper if pen and paper is enough. But in our digital world, we need things to integrate better than just notebooks. And the fact that you can have essentially unlimited pages in here and not have to carry around multiple notebooks is a strength of this type of device. I've done loads of videos also about drawing and talking about exporting to SVG, which is a really useful thing. The pen tools in here are really nice, and when e-ink tablets are well designed, they really make you want to write. They really make you want to pick up the pen and go ahead and make notes, sketch out your ideas and develop them on the device. This is a really nicely designed device, which is a pleasure to use. Let's add them up. So what are my conclusions about the Remarkable? If you know that it's enough, if you know that having a digital notebook is enough integration for you to improve your workflows, then go for it. If you want more, then look elsewhere. If, like me, you were just a little bit sick of carrying around paper planners and notepads, and you want to reduce the amount of paper in your life, then go for it. But if you think you're going to use it instead of your laptop, then think again. And if you think that it can in any way emulate what an iPad can do, again, think again. There are other options in the e-ink world, but I would strongly suggest that you think about an e-ink tablet as a replacement for a notebook rather than an alternative to an iPad, a laptop, or a full computer. Thanks for watching. I'm sold on these things. The Remarkable may or may not be the right e-ink tablet for you. So I hope that helps you kind of put it into a place and imagine it in your own use case and imagine it in your own work life. And you can see I found it really quite useful. But on that kind of, as close as I can make it to an objective scoring system, on that scoring system, the Remarkable only comes out with 31 points. Let me just say the current leader, which is the Books devices, the Note Air 3C and the Tab Ultra C Pro, they've got 45 points on that. So there's lots objectively to find joy in the latest generations of color e-ink tablets with much faster processors and full Android, where you can download any app from the Google Play Store and you can work in so many different ways. These fit into many more use cases, many more workflows. However, if the workflow that I've described to you with the Remarkable suits you, then go ahead and buy with confidence. And in that scoring system that I used in that section you've just seen, the only one that Remarkable comes out on top of all the other e-ink tablets is thinking and decision making. It is superlative in just being a place for your thoughts and a place for you to develop ideas. I use this as my companion for whole e-learning courses, and I've got those notes which I refer back to time and time again. For instance, I was on a leadership course, and that was a whole year of webinars and different experiences, and I have all of those notes here on the Remarkable. I did that on the Remarkable one actually, and I still look back through those notes today whenever I need to draw up an idea about leadership that I've been taught and that I want to apply to my current situation. So it's great for those things. And in my latest set of comparison scores, in the more recent comparison videos, I've gone ahead and I've added a subjective category, the category of flow. And I've actually double weighted it because I think it's that important. And that is another place that Remarkable comes out on top of all the others because it's so simple to use. It is a really flowy device, a device where you find flow, where you get into the zone when you enjoy thinking. And thinking, of course, is one of the pleasures of professional life. I think this is a place where Remarkable is going to struggle, but Remarkable have brought several desktop integrations. They have a good desktop app where you can just drag and drop your files and your PDFs will appear here on the Remarkable just over Wi-Fi. They also have a good Chrome integration where you can just send any article directly from the website with one click. Read on Remarkable it's called, and there it is. It appears just as a new notebook essentially, and you can annotate all over it. It doesn't bring the images though, which is a bit disappointing. And when you do want to work with images on the web, you do want to look at one of the newer color e-ink devices that are out there. And recently they brought out a Microsoft integration, but it isn't the Microsoft integration that we would really hope for on e-ink tablets. And really, an e-ink company that can make a bespoke solution to allow you to access OneDrive and edit all the documents in a whole environment designed to be on e-ink is going to really win this kind of e-ink productivity race, in my opinion. Right now on books, of course, you can use the full Android apps and they work really well. But what the Remarkable integration allows you to do is just to send files to be annotated and then to be sent back essentially via email to yourself or to a colleague. It allows you to annotate on Word and PowerPoint documents. Kindle would try and do that as well, but they only have Word. And let's see my comparison with the Microsoft integrations in Kindle and on Remarkable. These two devices have recently added Microsoft Office integrations, but which is best? Well, as with most of these questions, it does depend on your use case. Now stick around while I make that clear. Firstly, they're both simply one way. You can send to Kindle or you can send to Remarkable, but you won't be able to send back with the markups. They're both sort of dictating that certain workflow. You draft in Office, then you send to your e-paper device to review, and then you make edits on the desktop apps again. But there are other uses as we dive deeper into these integrations, so stick around. Neither are true Office apps, and to be fair, that wasn't what Amazon promised when they simply stated there'd be a Microsoft Office integration early in 2023. And here it is. Getting and using these integrations couldn't be any easier. The Send to Kindle app will just be there if you're installed on a Microsoft 365 account and you're in the latest version of Word. And the Remarkable is an add-in that you can get from the Files Get Add-ins menu, and you can also get that on PowerPoint. The first time you use them, it just asks you to sign in and then it just works. If you want full Office integration, then you do want to go for books. You can use the full Android apps on there with all of those features. And the one thing I noticed in the recent update was that they've added a patch to make dual instances of Microsoft apps work with what you call Work Profile. And you can find that in the Settings Apps menu. That should be really useful, but more on that in a later video. These integrations do make you wonder who the Amazon Kindle Scribe team really think their competition is. Probably Kobo and Remarkable, and perhaps they're right if you just think about global sales. It does seem that they're wanting to bring this device, the Kindle Scribe, up to the level of functionality of the Remarkable, but still retain that Kindle kind of read first mentality. The Kindle is still going to be primarily a reader and the Remarkable is still going to be primarily a note taker. But will they try to match all the Remarkable features here on the Kindle Scribe and give us text recognition, more advanced navigation, tagging, maybe even screen share? Or maybe they're going to try and match the Kobo Ellipsa 2 with the advanced notebook features and the cloud services. Or will they be content just to give us some of what people are asking for and not lose the Kindle identity as being the best value device for accessing the best library of books and audiobooks? These are the advantages of Kindle. With the Kindle, you have two options from Word. You can either send to Kindle like a Kindle, then all the text is selectable and you can highlight, annotate all the things you can with a normal Kindle book. Or you can select like a printed document and then you can annotate directly on the page. The like like a printed document is going to be better if you've got complex formatting, like tables or diagrams or pictures, but remember you can't actually select the text on that version. You can see in the library my Word files have come through as little Kindle books or PDF type books with the little Word symbol. The advantages of the Remarkable are that, well, you can actually send from Word and you can send from PowerPoint, but it only comes through as a flat PDF. Nothing is selectable here. So on the Remarkable, there's no way to actually select the text, it's just a flat PDF, but you can annotate everywhere. And hyperlinks will work on both, but that's about all. And for both of them, this avoids that step that I go through of actually exporting as a PDF and then sending to the device. I can now create my planner directly in Word and then just hit send to Kindle. And I could even go ahead and do a bit of digital planning on my computer, bring things in directly from Outlook or my rota from school, and then just every week do a send to Kindle or send to Remarkable, and then I've got my planner on my device with those digital things that I've added on the computer. PowerPoint integration could make Remarkable a much better machine for presentations. Either just as a place for your notes, you can use the space underneath each slide, or as they come through in colour, you could simply present using the Remarkable screen share function. And this could be a really powerful way to present. This is going to make Remarkable's communication and presenting scores go right up. And even when you just hover the pen over, it actually becomes like a laser pointer. So this could make Remarkable a great place to keep your decks of slides for impromptu presentation, maybe reviewing slides in meetings, or for regular teachings that you deliver. It's nice. This is clearly a use that they've aimed for in this update to Remarkable. A couple more things just to say about how easy they are to use. Well, the send to Kindle function is actually always available in Word once you've updated it to the latest version, whereas you do have to go ahead and get the Kindle add-ins from the Get Add-in menu, which is very easy to find and do, of course, but it does make it slightly more difficult for some users. Now, that also hints for Amazon that they are going to have a more direct partnership between Amazon and Microsoft on this, and that's perhaps a hint of where we're going to go later on, and maybe a hint that we might get the integration that we were hoping for. Here it is then. So once again, the Remarkable is going to beat out the Scribe for note-taking. Once again, the Kindle is going to beat out the Remarkable for reading. The Remarkable is better for thinking, it's better for presenting. It's a place to develop ideas through note making. The Microsoft add-in is really welcome. The Scribe beats the Remarkable though for reading and for learning. You can select and you can annotate bits of text. That means you can export all those into one document with all of those highlights and the annotations you've made next to them. So that makes it better suited as a place for learning. Perhaps you need to review a long document, a long piece of text with a colleague, or perhaps you need to mark up a student's work. You can actually keep a batch of annotations as you review the document and then export them into one document at the end. It could be a really nice way to have feedback and discussion around a piece of text. I hope that helps you make up your mind. The Remarkable Microsoft Office integration is better if you're primarily using this device for notes, and the Kindle is going to be better if you're primarily using the device for reading or reviewing documents. Thanks a lot for watching, and let me know what you think of these integrations and how you are going to use them. Next, watch this video here for a detailed comparison of these two great devices. So Remarkable, they are still updating the Remarkable 2, and the most recent update has been this type folio, which I really like. It automatically puts it into landscape and it allows you, of course, to type. More than that, it allows you to start a thought off with the pen and then convert it into text and then edit it with the type folio. It's a really nice design, and I wouldn't be surprised to see all companies copying this layout of folio soon. However, although they are updating the software for Remarkable 2, those updates are rarely all that inspiring. The latest update added nicer looking font for the title, and I don't remember what it was. It was a restructuring of one of the menus. And yeah, where the pen tools are, they've reorganized the way the pen tools look in the menu as well. which hasn't really done much for anyone. And they even employed iJustine to go ahead and call it the new Remarkable 2 in one of her videos. I think we're ready for Remarkable 3. I think we're ready to see a bit of an iteration on this design. And I can't wait, frankly. A lot of us are in that same position. And although they talk about, well, we've made one Remarkable 2 and we're happy with it, and actually you should still be happy with it. You don't need to upgrade. We don't need to bring out a new device with the latest processors or upgrade to the 300 ppi screen, because it isn't that much different, to be honest. And importantly, they're saying that we don't want to create e-waste, and we want these to be sustainable. We want these to live and grow with you for long periods of time. I applaud that as a mentality. However, they should be looking at diversifying their lineup and giving more options at different sizes, more options at different price points. And that's a way to keep iterating whilst still having a long lifespan of an individual device. Within that, this device can last for 4 years. Absolutely, that's perfectly fine. And every 2 years, there could be an update, like an S version, a Pro version on this. It is feeling a little bit tired now, I must admit. Using it side by side with some of the latest books devices, you are going to notice that difference. But it's still really good looking, and it's still really attractive, and it's still really inviting to write on. And that might still be enough for you to go ahead and get one today. Remarkable are finally using influencer marketing, and so you'd better hear a balanced viewpoint about it, because they're doing influencer marketing in a very controlled way. In other words, they're not just sending out devices to every reviewer, but they're looking for people with more general specialisms, and they're getting the messages out that they want to put out. They're generally making Instagram reels, and they're only interested in pushing the image that they are selling in their adverts. They are advertising in a very Instagram way. They're also doing an amazing job at it, and it's very powerful messaging that they're doing. It's all about the image of using Remarkable, and I want you to know whether that is an accurate image or not. 3 years ago, when I was researching before buying the Remarkable 1, I was desperate to know the answer to 2 questions. Are they actually rubbish? Do they do what they claim to do in the marketing? And will I regret buying them? I was worried. I thought it would become something which I used for a little while and then was just left on my shelf. At least I knew there was a chance of that. But I just felt I'd get on really well with the paper feeling and the paper look of the device. And now I can't imagine going back, either to paper or to an iPad. It's just a different category of device from an iPad. There really is no need to compare them, although my comparison videos between e-ink and iPad, they did do quite well initially. What are those clear benefits? Well, certainly there is the eye care. When I did try out planning exclusively on the iPad for 2 weeks, I did get bad headaches at the end of the day. And then there's the battery life. Having something that you just have to charge at the end of the week, which most of them can do, I found massively liberating. These for me are the 2 main benefits of e-ink.
There are a couple of influencers that I've got a lot of respect for who have chosen to work with Remarkable on these ad campaigns. And I'm all for that. I think we've all got the opportunity to partner with brands and that they should be doing these things. However, I think it's important for you to think that, well, these are adverts on Remarkable's own Instagram page rather than these influencers themselves. And I think it's quite telling that if you pause one of these videos, you can see that the number of pages in these notebooks is, 1 or 2 pages at most. So it isn't like this person has used the Remarkable for a long period of time. And I'm also aware that they haven't claimed to review, they've just partnered to be in one of the ads. And so we just need to be aware of that whenever we are exposed to this type of very clever marketing. And I would really love to hear what these influencers have got to say about the device on their own channel after having used the device for a period of a month or so.
So it's clues like that that you should really look at. Has the reviewer actually used the device for any period of time? See, with the speed of the device, it is due a refresh, can't you? So yes, I have used it for a long period of time. I think it's rather a good thing that brands are seeking to put their devices in the hands of content creators and influencers and look to get their opinion. And I'm really pleased to be part of a creator economy where people can, off their own back, make their own independent living making content. It's incredible. Some companies back their devices and then they stand back and they wait for the feedback. They send out their devices and leave the reviewer or the creator to make the content that they want to. And other brands seek to keep more control. Sometimes we'll get a brief from brands features that they do not want you to miss, or suggested talking points, but there's no pressure to include them or not. Frankly, it's just a bit helpful making the video, knowing what to look out for and what distinguishes one device from the next. I've got a way that you can actually test out if a review is really genuine or not. Go to that brand's website and have a look at the press resources section, and you'll see all the press releases and all of the stock photos of the devices. Look closely at the reviews and you'll see sometimes how closely the text of the review resembles the press release. And well, if they've only used the photos given by the company, then they probably haven't tested that device out, certainly not very thoroughly at least.
I didn't know you could do that. You can leave whatever note you had on the screen when it goes to sleep. That's cool. I'll put that on straight away.
And I also would love to see Aaron take his newfound enjoyment of an e-ink tablet and make a comparison of Remarkable to all the other options that are out there, because there are great options out there. General tech reviewers are only just starting to wake up to the fact that there is quite a difference between a standard Android tablet and an e-ink tablet. They're a different category of device, and I would love to hear his opinion about whether the distraction-free experience on Remarkable is really worth it when you compare it to what other e-ink tablets can do. Then there's the myth of latency, a rather grand title. I haven't used an e-ink device where latency has spoilt my enjoyment of it yet, so I kind of decided that latency didn't really matter. Well, let's hit up the 4K 120 and let's make some comparisons here. I'll have a look at the Remarkable 2 versus the Tab Ultra C and the Kindle Scribe.
So this is 100 frames a second and it's been slowed down 4 times. If you play it back frame by frame, you can see that actually the Remarkable is consistently 3 or 4 frames behind. The Tab Ultra C is also about 3 or 4 frames behind. The Kindle Scribe comes out really well about 2 or 3 frames behind, interestingly enough, and the Supernote I measured at just 3 frames behind. So that's my not very scientific comparison of the latency of 4 of the top e-ink tablets. And if you are just discovering e-ink tablets, if the Remarkable is the first one you come across, then at the end I'll leave some videos where I go through all of the best e-ink tablets that you can buy right now.
As you can see, there's really not much in it. Essentially, if you go for one that's got a Wacom EMR pen, it's going to be just fine in terms of latency, somewhere around 20 milliseconds. It is an interesting competition though, and it's something that I always look forward to when Voya tests out the devices on my deep guide. And then there's just no competition to how an e-ink tablet performs in different lighting situations. E-ink benefits from having direct sunlight on it, rather than having to angle it and squint through the glare as you would on an OLED or LCD tablet. And then later at night, you can just have a tiny little bit of warm light on an e-ink tablet. Well, except the Remarkable, because it doesn't have front lights, but could just have an ordinary reading lamp, and that's a comfortable way to read or write at night. So back to my 2 questions I had at the start. Are they actually rubbish? Do they do what they claim to do in the marketing? No, I honestly don't think they are rubbish. The Remarkable does manage to keep a very premium feel, and if you can imagine it working in your workflow, it probably will.
I've also no doubt that these influencers that I was talking about earlier, they will get on really well with the Remarkable, and you can see from their earlier videos that they do indeed have a stack of paper, a paper notebook at the side of the keyboard, and that's just really going to be easily replaced with the Remarkable. It's going to be a really frictionless experience to replace a notepad with the Remarkable.
So to answer this question about the marketing though, let's have a look at Remarkable's webpage. Firstly, yep, it will replace your notebooks and some printouts. It's not the only tablet that feels like paper though. And you will be given printouts by other people, and other e-ink tablets do now have a camera so you can instantly digitize those printouts, as close to paper as it gets. Yes, it is low latency, but it's not an unprecedented writing experience. Other tablets do that just as well. And really, it was the Sony DPT that was the OG in that kind of satisfying screen feel tech. And the only one that is truly unprecedented, meaning there's nothing like it, is the Supernote series of devices. Powerful tools like undo, erase, resize, and move are just standard editing tools, really. And I don't see why they need to mention the paper feel again. And I would say it still has a bit of a disjointed digital flow in that it's hard to integrate with things like Google Drive. It doesn't work as you'd hope in the 21st century. Your work can be popped into folders, that is true, and they can be tagged, but this is not revolutionary. You can't search the entire contents of your notebooks either, even those that have been converted into digital text. It's just the titles and the tags that are searchable. And there aren't ways to make links or tables of contents like there are on other devices as well. No more typing up notes. There is the handwriting conversion, and as long as you write your notes with that kind of eventual OCR in mind, i.e. you write on like lines and you write pretty neatly, it should do a pretty good job. Yep. There are no pop-up ads or notifications. Any device in Do Not Disturb mode has no notifications. That being said, it is a device which does one thing and does one thing well, and there's something to be said for that. The second question I wanted to ask was, will I regret buying it? And there's two reasons why that might happen to you. If you're expecting this device to wean you off LCD screens, probably won't happen. Unless you're coming from note-taking on an iPad and you find that to be too much staring at a glowing rectangle. This is not going to reduce your computer screen time. In fact, it will only reduce your use of paper. If you're looking for something to replace all of the productivity things that you do with your phone, laptop, or tablet, then you need to look at books or one of the other full Android e-ink devices. Otherwise, you might end up regretting buying this if you don't end up using it every day. You've probably been used to using pen and paper all your life, and this is going to be quite a hard habit to break. You need to expect to go all in, and you need to expect a few weeks where you have to consciously reach for the Remarkable rather than a notepad. It may end up then being reserved for those theoretical moments where you have enough time to learn something new. You'll get handed things on paper still, and you'll want to quickly share notes and things, so you'll need to find time to digitize these things to use on the Remarkable later. And you need to get used to sharing from the Remarkable in the limited number of ways that you can actually do this. It's a very often comment that Remarkable is nice tech, but not worth $600. Well, I would say it certainly won't be if it ends up becoming a paperweight rather than a paper replacement. If you want to give it a go, you could always take advantage of their really generous returns policy. And you could also save a little by getting a refurbished one, or simply save by not buying the official case and official marker, but go for third party. And all of a sudden, the Remarkable is actually not too expensive compared to its rivals. Okay, so the fabled writing feel. They mentioned the paper-like screen feel several times on just the first page of the website. I think it might be 3 or 4 times. So we had better check that out. So here's the sound, which the sound isn't that important to me, but many people seem to care a lot about it. For me, it sounds like pencil on premium paper. And yeah, it does feel good, but it's not quite like paper. But that's not important. It's really important that it is inviting to write on. That's what matters, in the fact that the pen is responsive and accurate, except where the magnets are for the keyboard case. You see, without the keyboard case, you aren't getting that wobble. I'm getting a wobble there for some reason. And you can see you get bad ghosting, and if I compare that to the Tab Ultra series or any of the Books Tab series, you won't see that type of ghosting on a Books Tab Ultra. It's not always replicable. It automatically did its full refresh and it was gone. Not easy to predict when it's going to happen, is it? It's also important that the pen tools give you all different pleasing effects. They're good for handwriting, and they're really good for drawing as well. This is one of my favourite places to draw. The writing feel is good for sure, but let's not get carried away. The writing feel is good on many of Remarkable's rivals as well. And honestly, it's not so much of a reason to buy as everyone makes it out. The most important decision that you need to make as to which e-ink tablet to buy is whether it will fit into your workflow or not. If the answer is yes, then buy with confidence. If you have to force it to become part of your workflow, then that impulse buy will become something you regret. Great, and well, if you need any more help deciding, firstly you can check out the links in the description for the main 4 that I recommend as Books for productivity, Remarkable for note-taking, Kindle for reading, and Supernote for serious writing. When you decide that you definitely do want one, I've got a whole lot of breakdowns and comparisons for you to binge watch. Start here. So there you go, that's everything that I know about Remarkable and everything I think you need to know to make an informed decision as to whether it's right for you. I strongly recommend that you check out the competition before you buy this, but it is a great option. And if you are currently at the point that I was before I embarked on this e-ink journey, is it worth it? Then I would say yes. And in these videos, I compared the Remarkable with some of the key alternatives that are out there. Please let me know any questions that you might have, as they do help me build better content in the future.